Hey folks, MasakoX here. You're really going through this quickly, aren't you? I bet you're saying. I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago when you were making the second part of this supposed one and done story. Yes, I know I said that, but thanks to your clever ingenuity and good ideas and excessive cajoling, but it inspired me to do good things. But I'll carry on a little bit and provide some further enhancements to the story. Today's video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Kakarot. With Kakarot, you will receive 20 traditional and artisan Japanese delights, including Japanese teas and one wonderfully crafted example of tableware with your box every month. Kakarot helps local Japanese snack makers continue to share their traditions that have been passed down for over a century. And by you purchasing this box, you're helping that continue for future generations. And this month's Taste of Hokkaido theme, which consists of the best treats Hokkaido has going, has me smitten as it has chocolate dorayaki in there. Amazing. As for Tokyo Treat, you'll get to try up to 20 of the latest, most exclusive and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks, such as caramel popcorn soda. This month's theme, Snack in Shibuya, condenses the hustle and bustle of Shibuya into one container, which hosts pudding flavored Kit Kats. Dearest will be happy about that. And my favorite from this month, Quattro Cheese Snacks. They're ridiculously Moorish, seriously. Both boxes also come with an information snack guide, which gives you extra details like ingredients, allergen information, and fascinating context behind each snack. The Shibuya box reminds me of the time my friend Hasagi took me to a secret sushi bar there, round back of the district, and the memories all flooded back when I saw this box. You can go to my second channel up on the lookout to see more from these boxes, or you can get $5 off your first Kakarot or Tokyo Treat box by using the code MasakoX at checkout. All the links in the description before May 31st. I hope you give this a look, and thanks once again to Tokyo Treat and Kakarot for sponsoring this video. Cheers! In the last part, we expanded upon the basic situation where the first part ended. Hime had to rely on Gero's help, something that she didn't ideally want to do, but had to, given the fact that the planet was currently being divvied up for auction and trading at best, and subjugation by Frieza at the worst. Right now, Earth was an item, and it was up to the remains of the Red Ribbon Army, which was basically them, to try and release said world from interstellar decimation. Hime then found out that Gero had hoarded the Dragon Balls for himself years ago, in case things went south, which they did, and also to stop Commander Red making stupid wishes on them, but allowed Hime to try and bring back her two sons from certain death. From there, Gero offered further help in the pursuit of humanity's prevailing and requested the three of them be subject to his artificial human enhancements, tools, and experiments that could provide them just enough strength and fortitude to more than deal with the likes of the Frieza force up there. Gero had been busy in the shadows, far from scrutiny, thanks to the fact that Commander Red viewed him as weird and mad and thusly not worth stoking the ire of. But Kami then poked his nose and offered further aid. We find ourselves now after 6 months in the time chamber, about 12 hours, but Frieza's force have found out about the Dragon Ball locator, now that the orbs were once again active after Gero's prior wish. Let's wrap things up, shall we? 12 hours after the three of them had entered the Room of Spirit and Time, they exited. Their clothes were in tatters. They looked extremely worn out, but they'd done it. Kami welcomed them back from the room, and he then told them that they could go back in again. They had about 18 months worth of credit left if they wanted to do more, but all three of them gave that idea a hard pass. 6 months in there is enough, old man, said Jasper with a huge sigh of exhaustion. And despite their infinity engines, provided by the good doctor, they would still get tired, or at least their human brains, or what's left of them, would get tired. It turned out to be psychosomatic. Their actual energy levels hadn't really gone down all that much as they had thought. Mind over matter. This was part of the change that was going to be hard getting used to. But the training had proved useful. Hime thanked Kami for the kind offer of help. Without this, we probably might have done something foolish whilst trying to save the world so desperately. Kami nodded, but still looked seriously back at all of them. We are not done yet. You must go and find the Dragon Balls, or better yet, stop Frieza's men finding them first. Then we may be able to breathe a little easier. Kami walked closer to Hime so that Jasper and Gebo couldn't hear. Does Dr. Gero seek to conquer the world for himself? You can be honest with me. Not exactly. Gero may have been a bitter old gent, but his heart was in the right place. He didn't wish to bring humanity under his will, but by using his intellect and technology to help propel it into a new age of innovation and prosperity. He wants the world to evolve and improve. It's just that sometimes his impulses get the better of him, and certain things get in the way, which muddy that aspiration into something completely maniacal. Kami closed his eyes and mused this thought. I see. Well, he then smiled. Sounds better than what Frieza usually has in store for Worlds. Now go. With that, Hema called for his sons to head for the old Red Ribbon Army HQ, which was currently being used as a base of operations for Frieza's henchmen. Again, thanks to their stealth-like energy outputs, they were not tracked by the group, and instead, they managed to get to the base in just about half an hour. And despite the Frieza Force taking over said base, they had not really gotten around to resetting the bioscan recognition facilities, which allowed entry. So basically, they added their own data, but they didn't delete the old stuff. The Frieza Force were basically just squatting there and now far too obsessed with that Dragon Ball locator to notice. The three of them took nearby lab coats with the hastily added Frieza Force logo on them and began to wander the corridors. The room was a hive of activity, which helped them out since it was so busy, nobody would notice new people entering the chamber. The Dragon Ball locator that the Red Ribbon Army had wasn't exactly mobile, and absolutely nothing like Bulma's Dragon Radar, so coordinates had to be relayed to their respective search parties, and they would go find the balls. Hema knew that the best thing to do to prevent anyone from seeking these balls again was to destroy this locator. But Mother, said Gero, won't that mean we can't find them ourselves to fix things when all of this is over? These orbs were originally legendary. It's probably best they go back to being said legend, the three of them agreed, and Hema began the push by casually walking over to one of the technicians who had just started working there. Hema asked them some random scientific question, and the newbie was giving their answer. But then, a regular clocked Hema and shouted, "Hey! That's a woman we've been looking for! Get her!" The room rounded on Hema, but she wasn't scared in the slightest. When she gave the signal, Jasper and Gero leapt out and began to eviscerate the entire room, and then proceed to demolish the Dragon Ball locator. Woof, that was quick. Eva hadn't used her powers in anger before. Training in the time chamber was one thing, but to use it in the field, to kill people, was both thrilling and disturbing. It was a lot to take in, but Gero comforted his mother. I know it's hard, but I can tell you from experience that this is for the greater good, Mother. It's not ideal, but this is the way. Hema looked somberly down at the being she had just expired, but then to her son and nodded. Yes, it doesn't make it easy though. However, there was now the matter of seeking those who already had said locations and were heading for them. The race was on to find them, but Jasper was getting impatient. I want to find that so-called brother of mine, that ratted scum. He clenched his fist. And thanks to the radar, we know where he is. Gero tried to calm his brother down and remind him of the mission. It was best not to attract attention, but Jasper rebuffed that. I think we already attracted enough attention by taking out their main beacon. Hema and Gero looked at the broken remains of the locator and, well, they had to admit Jasper had a point. Fortunately for Jasper, Raditz was one of the beings in the pursuit of a Dragon Ball. By the time Raditz had coined that something was wrong back at the Red Ribbon HQ base where the Dragon Ball locator was, Jasper was already on him, in front of his face. Raditz was surprised to say the least. Kakarot! But I killed me, said Jasper with a cold tone. No, brother. You did more than that. You opened my eyes to the greatest power imaginable. I should thank you, but he punched Raditz. I don't like low-life sneaks. He then proceeded to beat Raditz into a pulp, all before offering him the chance to live for the information as to where Frieza was right now. Raditz was spouting off lines like, I would never, and as if I'd betray my... But Jasper could sense Raditz's fear. You're nothing but a coward, Raditz. If you tell us where he is, I'll let you go. Promise. Raditz took his scouter off and sighed, before dropping it to the ground below. He told them everything. I suppose you're going to kill me now anyway, right? Said Raditz, accepting his presumed fate, but Jasper shook his head. No. Unlike you, I assume dignity. Get out of here. Start anew. But if I see you again, I will kill you. You got it? You are no brother of mine. Raditz spluttered a thank you before skedaddling out of there. Gero and Hema watched on with awe how Jasper conducted himself. Jasper smiled. You're my bro, Gero. Then let's go after that Frieza. They looked up to the sky and to the spaceship that Frieza was using to oversee his conquest of Earth. Now, question. Can androids survive in space? I think so, since they're now more cyborg, so we're going to go with that. And besides, the Infinity engines should be enough to power them and sustain their biological needs whilst up there. Anyway, up in said space, Frieza was starting to get a little impatient. His team had almost gathered the Dragon Balls, but the locator base had gone offline for some reason. So that means clarification couldn't be sought. Today's simply not my day, is it? Grumbled Frieza. It was going to get worse, as 3 massive streams of energy just tore through his ship. Without warning, the ship had been caught unawares by the trifecta of beams from Jasper, Gero, and Hema below. Them not expecting such an attack from a planet that hadn't even tackled the likes of space travel yet. Surely there couldn't have been anything capable of wrecking their own mothership, right? Wrong. The crew of the ship was scurrying around trying to fix the damage, but it was too much. And also not helped by another set of beams adding even more damage. Jasper smirked as he could see the ship collapsing under the strain of the attacks, and seconds later, it exploded atop of them. But Gero wasn't moved. This isn't over. This is too easy. Sure enough, he was right. From out of the devastation, Frieza, in its first form, emerged. He had a look of both surprise and anger on his face. Well, I'll be! He shouted at the 3. In all my years of galactic domination, I can say with no doubt that that was the most bombastic of greetings that any freedom fighter has bestowed upon me. Now tell me, in what manner would you like to die then? Quickly? Slowly? It makes no difference to me. I'll enjoy it all the same. Jasper cracked his knuckles. Right back at ya, Frieza. Frieza then looked at Jasper more closely. He remembered a Saiyan that looked like him doing something similar back on planet Vegeta, trying to play the hero. Was this person related to him, perhaps? Then he remembered Raditz's initial report. Oh, you were the Saiyan that Raditz wanted to bring back to my force originally. All right, let me conduct a personal review of you then. Are you ready? Frieza wasn't expecting the onslaught that was about to head his way. With Gero's drones capturing the intel from Jasper's development, then Raditz's arrival, and the subsequent conquering of Frieza and his powerful men of Earth, the power of the trio now is pretty much similar to Androids 17 and 18 from the original at this point. Perhaps even stronger. And now couple that with the additional 6 months in the Room of Spirit and Time? Well, I think you know where this is going to go. Frieza had no answer to this. Not even his patented Death Ball technique could work. Hema just used her ki absorption technique, thanks Gero, to swallow up the energy and use it to blast it back in Frieza's direction. Naturally, Frieza was able to dodge this, but he was certainly getting very unsettled at the fact that all this energy could be absorbed so easily and then expelled with little effort. Where was this in the report? Perhaps I underestimated the technology of this planet. No matter. Allow me to reward you with something I rarely show off to others. As you could tell, he showed off his transformation skill. But all these forms yielded the same result. Not even his final form could do much against all 3 of them. Hema then managed to get the jump on Frieza as he was busy with Jasper and grabbed the tyrant from behind and covered his mouth. Frieza was trying to wriggle himself out of her grip, but he could feel his life force being depleted somehow. With every second, he could resist less and less, and Hema's grip was only getting stronger, thanks to his own energy being used against him. Soon enough, Frieza had to revert back to his first form, so that means he wouldn't pass out. He was powerless now. The 3 androids loomed over him, and he tried to beg for mercy. Now, despite these 3 doing the galaxy a huge favour, these 3 weren't about to be freedom fighters for other worlds. But Gero had an idea. To send a message out there to those that dare challenge Earth in the future. Hema liked this. Soon, a galactic-wide message was broadcast. using Frieza's existing systems that had been installed on Earth up to now. What was in the message? Frieza, looking battered and bruised, hardly a regal figure, telling all Frieza Force troops to avoid Earth, that he had made a huge mistake, and that he would never return. So say the Emperor. Earth was effectively a no-fly zone. Gable and Hema thought this was a more effective idea. Granted, it would have been easier to go with Jasper's plan originally and just kill him right there, but more folks from space might come and seek revenge for Frieza. Here though, this was more by the book, and Frieza could live with the fear of Earth in his mind forever. When they sent him away, the Emperor tried one last gasp to destroy them, but got put in his place again by Gabo. "Remember our agreement, Frieza." With that, Frieza and his remaining troops fled the planet, never to be seen again. The people of Earth were eternally grateful for the trio's help, but none of them wished to bask in the adulation. They had done their duty and saved the planet, but they would now go back to debrief with Gero instead of, signing autographs. But Jasper's already lingering following from before Raditz showing up simply consolidated the notion that he was the saviour of Earth, despite working for an organisation that originally wanted to take over the world through nefarious and hostile means. But with the right marketing efforts and propaganda, that can work wonders among unsuspecting general populace. This time though, Jasper had gotten the adulation through genuine good deeds. Battering the Emperor of the Galaxy is a good means of doing so. When they regrouped with Gero, the Doctor was impressed with their efforts, but didn't wish to bask in the glory that they had accomplished. The Doctor would rather stick to the shadows and continue with his research and development, upgrading them constantly. "Hema, Jasper, Gabo, I think you would do a better job of being the face of the new Red Ribbon Army than I would be. My mug isn't conducive to good publicity. I think it's best you take the wheel." Hema wasn't surprised at this, but accepted the proposal. Hema became the new director of the Red Ribbon Army, and Jasper resumed his status as the poster boy of said outfit. Gabo resumed his colourful title role as General Gold, taking care of the General Force, whereas Hema became the new Commander Red. Now, does Earth come under threat from Frieza again? Well, short answer is no. That broadcast message did Frieza the world of hurt in terms of his general credibility. Frieza brought to shame? Wow. Pretty much every single part of the galaxy took that seriously, and then made fun of him. Even his father had a jibe at him. Frieza had personally warned him not to try anything either. It was already a greater issue that they had to deal with internal rumblings of regime changes, let alone that world. It wasn't a priority. Let it remain in its corner of space. Fine. They had other problems to attend to anyway. Also, since the Red Ribbon Army were responsible for the Cell Saga basically coming to be, and this time they saved it, there's no Android 17, 18, or Cell. Lapis, Lazuli, they're still regular people. Over time, the quartet that now drove the Red Ribbon Army forged their organisation into a company and force that was seen more as a force of good and not about the rule the world through tyranny type of thing and over-the-top schemes. They could have rebuilt the Dragon Ball locator too, but they chose not to. After all, the Dragon Balls had proved to be useful in bringing back Jasper and Gabo, but that level of power to bring people back from the dead was far too risky and tempting to rely on. Capsule Corp had their own Dragon radar, thanks to Bomber and the like, and they did try to gather the dragon a couple of times, but Jasper was on them, quick to put a stop to it when he could see the sky turn black. It didn't help Capsule Corp that they kept bringing the balls back to their base, like they do in the show. It made things easier for Jasper to find them and halt it. He didn't stop them with force though, but he used his ways to ensure them that whatever wish they did make was for more selfless and altruistic purposes. Now when it comes to Barbary and Deborah a few years later, what happens there? Well, Frieza's message does get to them in a manner of speaking, and they do come to Earth to try their luck and free Majin Buu perhaps, but the thing about that is that with Jasper, Gabo and Hema's power being mostly derived from the Infinity Engine and not Ki, the energy they have is not compatible with the energy absorption device that Barbary had created. He hadn't expected to be fighting machines that looked so human-like and were that strong. In any case, when Deborah and Barbary had to face off against them, they fared badly. Jasper had been spotted as the strongest of the three, and when they tried to take his energy, it didn't work. Since Frieza, it hadn't helped that the three of them had been upgraded and now were even stronger. And now with Deborah's presence here and the drones continuing their observation, Gero had now plenty of info about Demon Kings and their power to make even further upgrades. In short, Barbady's plan fails. Deborah gets wasted by the trio, and Boo remains in his sealed ball. And when Shin and Kibito get there to provide aid, thinking that they were about to be overwhelmed by Majin Buu, to find that it had already been taken care of, they get to taking the sealed ball away from Earth and placing it far away from the mortal realm and the sacred world of the Kais. Shin didn't find these three as hospitable as the original Dragon team, but he was still grateful that they shared a common goal in keeping things in order here. Beerus, Masako? Well, no. Jasper's power isn't as obvious to Whis since his energy is mostly derived from technology, and thusly, it doesn't capture his attention to wake Beerus up, and thusly, the cat remains asleep for the next few centuries or so, and in turn, will be far less cranky. I think everyone will like that. And as for Earth, this time of peace is quite refreshing. Since Jasper, Gable, and Hima are now basically artificial humans, or Jasper's case a Saiyan, their lifespans are now practically infinite, or at least they don't age nearly as fast as regular humans do, which isn't what could be said for Gero. As for Hima, she remained the steadfast leader of the Red Ribbon Army for many decades, with her two sons by her side. Jasper, the bastion of the group and the champion of Earth, and Gable, the steadfast and more modest captain of the guard. Despite his android powers, he still desired to lead his men into battle like he was a regular human. His troops may grow old and he would see new ones come in, but the men looked to Gable as a constant, and he liked that idea. It gave them comfort. As Gero aged, though, he sought to place his mind in a supercomputer so that his mind may continue to innovate humanity long after his organic body had died. It was surreal in a way to see yourself pass, but yes, I think that could wrap things up. Had Android 21 raised Goku, and I heeded your excellent advice folks, it could lead to Gero realizing his desire to innovate humanity, Hima raising Kakarot, now Jasper, with more civility, and Earth genuinely being led by a now reformed Red Ribbon Army, far less power mad and far more virtuous. Earth is a place of safety now, and with Hima leading the effort, the planet will continue to dominate in technology, security, and prosperity. And that's where we end things. If you want to make a continuation of this story, please do so and share it with me. Maybe we might showcase some of the best on the channel in an epilogue perhaps. But what did you folks think overall? Did you feel this was a good way to go about things? Would you add some more details to it? You could also perhaps check out the boxer what if where an alternate landing location of the young Kakarot emerged. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!